everybody, and welcome. This is an informational forum for candidates, school board candidates for the high school district. I'm Dave Bemis. I'm moderating tonight. I'm an editor with the Valley Star. Keeping time is Riza Georgi, the publisher and owner of the Star. We've got a limit of 2 hours. It's going to pass quickly, but I still need to take just a few minutes to make some announcements. And first, Scott, would you like to say a few words? Scott Corey.
So good evening, my name is Scott Corey, Superintendent for Ynez High School District. And I want to welcome you first of all here and also to our candidates. This is my 6th year as superintendent and we've never had this many candidates. And if you've noticed a lot of the local races, city councils and all that, there is an unusually large number of people participating in local government, which is a great thing for all of us. And so I've had an opportunity to sit down and meet with every candidate, just tell them a little bit about the district, and I can tell you we have some excellent people, and every single one of them are in it for the right reasons. So thanks to them, thanks to you for being here, and we're glad to be hosting this. So thanks to the Star as well.
Thanks. More thanks. At the Star, we really want to say thank you to the candidates. They've participated in everything we've asked them to do for publication and just for being here tonight. And if they get elected, they're going to spend a lot of unpaid time doing school work that they could be spending with their families or their hobbies. So thank you for making the commitment. The audience, thank you for making the commitment to be here. To the district staff for all the setup and the cleanup that they'll do later. To Cheryl Lee for setting up the video that will be posted later on YouTube and the Valley Star's website. From her video production and multimedia class, student Natalie is doing that taping. And if you have not seen this leaflet, we tried to hand them out. This is information that the candidates gave us to publish in the most recent Valley Star, but it's here, so you'll maybe in a more convenient form for you to find out more about them. And in a minute, we'll have the candidates introduce themselves, but I just wanted to mention that not all 11 candidates are here, obviously, and that's not, I hope you won't take that as a sign that the other people didn't care enough to be here. With 11 people, we knew there was no date we could pick with 11 schedules lining up, and a couple people immediately told us I have to be out of town that day, and so their information is, however, included in the handout if you want to read that. Also, Tory Babcock is here in the audience. Some of you may know her name's on the ballot, but she's officially no longer running because she's been appointed to a vacancy. So her name will appear on the ballot. She's already been appointed. So you'll be voting for 3 people. If none of the 3 winners is Tory, then they'll join the school board. If Tory is one of the top 3 vote getters, then she has to resign either the appointed place or the elected place because she can't hold both. And so the minute you're done voting, the school board will be working on appointing somebody else if Tory is one of the 3 top vote getters. So enough for election procedures. Good thing we didn't need those anyway. We have asked the candidates to limit their answers to 2 minutes. Riza is sitting at a little laptop here that has a 2-minute timer counting down. It's facing the candidates. You can't see it, but they can. So the idea is that at the end of 2 minutes, they'll be done. For the sake of time, we're not taking questions from the audience. There's just, 11 candidates is great for democracy, but it's really bad for a forum. There's just not time. To keep any candidate from going first or last or always following the same person, I'm going to draw cards for each question, so whoever's drawn first will answer first, etc. So, candidates, I tried to speak with all of you beforehand. Do we have questions before I start? Okay, we're all supremely confident, ready to go. All right then. Not good things. top, so you'll go first.
Good afternoon.
I'll go ahead and ask the question. Oh, actually, no. Yes, beg your pardon. The quote first question really is just introducing yourself. Tell folks why you're a candidate, what issues are important to you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kros, Andrade. I've been a resident for over 40 years. I'm actually a graduate from the high school.
Excuse me, Kros.
I graduated.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
You got to basically swallow the microphone.
I graduated from the high school in 1990. I moved away when I went to college. I decided to come back to the Valley when I started my business. Since I came back to the Valley, as soon as I moved into the Valley, I started volunteering at my son's local school at Oak Valley, whether it was in the computer lab, going to science camp, volunteering with bringing back the Oak Valley Garden. So I just kind of started volunteering throughout the community, also joining some nonprofits where I kind of volunteer at the time, and I just thought it was the right time for me to step into the high school work.
And next is Jessica.
Well, first, thank you for everyone that put this together.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you to Riza and their team and high school. I'm very comfortable with the microphone part and the audience part, but bear with me. I think this is really important, and I'm glad we're here. My reasons for joining the board are pretty simple, and I imagine not so unique. I care about the kids who attend high school. I'm a parent of a freshman and a junior, and I have had the pleasure of watching these kids grow up. I want the best for them. I currently serve on a board at Transition House, a family shelter in Santa Barbara, and I have served at our school also in a volunteer position, or elementary school. I want to see continued progress at the high school, and I believe I can help us move forward.
Thank you, and Eileen, you're next.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Eileen Preston, and I'm a 32-year resident in San Ynez Valley. My husband Mark and I raised our son Thomas here, who is a 2006 graduate. Currently, I serve as the chairperson on the Citizens Oversight Committee for the Measure K lawn. Previously, I have served as a school board member in the Buellton Union School District, 3 years as their board president. During my tenure on the board, the school acquired land to build what is the present site of Oak Valley Elementary School. I care deeply about the safety of students and staff, their education, and the district remaining solvent. Thank you.
Thank you, and next is Jan.
I was just going to grab this thing and go for it. All right. My name is Jan Clevenger. I'm a 30-year resident of San Ynez Valley. I'm a longtime educator, 25 years with the Buellton Union School District as a teacher and a principal and as a parent. And then I went over to the dark side and was 10 years with the Santa Barbara County Education Office as an assistant superintendent over several programs, but back in the Valley and retired. I have two sons who are graduates of San Ynez High. My husband, Norm Clevenger, was a principal here for 9 years. And as a longtime educator and thinking about retirement, what could I do with my free time, and I felt like it was important to give back to the community and stay connected. I thought my learning curve was pretty flat, so there wasn't a lot of hard work on Superintendent Corey's part to bring me up to speed. But I've had one great term on the board, and I feel that it's really important to see things through to fruition and continue on for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you, and John, you're next.
Thank you. My name is Dr. John Baeke. I'm a physician. I'm also a parent. I'm fortunate to have received a wonderful public education, and I'm absolutely convinced that San Ynez Valley High School is a fine and wonderful school. I just believe that it can be made even better. There are many student cell phone policies. It's something you'll hear repeatedly from my mouth tonight, is the need that we bring back the school resource officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and Carl is next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carl Johnson. I am a 22-year resident of the Valley. As a parent of 2 current students at the high school and another who graduated 3 years ago, I feel personally invested in the success of our school. I've served on the board of directors of our church and in arts outreach. I've been active in 4-H. I'm currently volunteering with the marching band. I am also an arts professional, and I have been involved in the performing arts in our community for over 20 years. I grew up in the Midwest and attended public schools all the way through college, and the arts education experiences I had growing up were some of the happiest of my life. In fact, I wouldn't have the career I have today if it weren't for the arts education experiences I had in the public schools in my hometown. I'm worried that many of the students coming through Santa Ynez High School are not getting the same quality of experiences I had and will not get the same kinds of opportunities I had. So my main purpose for running for the school board is to be an advocate for arts education of all kinds. And above all, I consider myself a good listener and a team player, and I think I can be an asset to our district.
Thank you, Carl, and now it's Tyler's turn.
Community is incredibly important. I'm a graduate of this high school, a resident of this valley, a local attorney, a board member of 2 nonprofit boards, and part of this community. I think it's important to give back to the place that made me who I am. I think I have the opportunity now to run the threshold of this new master plan, the Measure K money, and a board election that's up for almost a complete change. Now's our opportunity to create a campus that we've always wanted and create the school that we need. While our test scores are the best in the Tri-Counties and our career training and extracurriculars are outstanding, we can always do better. We cannot become complacent. Our faculty and staff are underappreciated and underpaid, and right now, understandably upset. We need to ensure that we make it possible for the next generation of excellent teachers to live in the Valley. On the school board, I've worked to ensure that we support our teachers, students, faculty, and community, and continue to build bridges across the entire Valley.
Thank you all. And now to the first question. I will also say, as I suppose I should have said this in opening, we'll try to time this so there'll be, all 7 will have a chance to answer the last question, and then they will be able to give a closing statement as well. All right, so the question, and Jessica, your card is on top. The Healthy Kids survey that is conducted every 2 years has shown that many SYHS students use alcohol and drugs frequently. Do you think this is a problem? If so, is the solution entirely up to parents, or should school personnel take corrective steps?
Drugs, alcohol, and teenagers is an age-old story that seems to never go out of style. And of course, an ongoing dilemma for parents, caregivers, families, teachers, administration, and most importantly, I believe for our teens themselves. I believe that there is, and possibly always will be, room for improvement. I know we have a problem. I also firmly believe that it's everyone's dilemma. We must do our part to educate our teens of the risks, to facilitate communication, to provide access to mental health services, to model safe behavior, to make amends when we fail, and to hold each other and our teens accountable.
Thank you, Jessica. And Carl, you're up.
Any drug or alcohol used by teenagers is a problem. But I believe the root of the solution has to start at home. I think the district can educate parents about the importance of securing alcohol and prescription drugs in the home. In fact, I heard a public service announcement on the radio last year created by students at our high school explaining exactly that, the importance of physically securing those substances. I took the liberty of looking at the Healthy Kids survey, and some of the numbers are alarming. For example, 29% of 11th graders here say they currently use drugs or alcohol. While that number is scary, it compares to 30% in Santa Barbara 29% in Santa Maria, and 29% statewide. Similarly, most of the numbers in this survey are in line with local and state averages. There are several areas, though, that exceed local averages. The report says that 12% of Santa Ynez 11th graders report having been in a fight, as opposed to 6% in Santa Barbara and 6% in Santa Maria and 8% statewide. It also states that 15% of Santa Ynez high school 11th graders report seeing a weapon at school, versus 10% in Santa Barbara, 9% in Santa Maria, and 13% statewide. To me, this data is more alarming and concerning, and indicates that that maybe we should be spending more time and resources on things like anger management and dispute resolution skills.
Thank you, Carl. And Jan is next.
Alcohol, binge drinking, marijuana, and cigarette use have decreased from 2014 to 2016 for our 11th and 9th graders reporting on the Healthy Kids Survey. We need to remember that the Healthy Kids Survey is one tool that provides information to the district. There is an increase, however, in prescription drug use over the last 2 years at 5% reporting between 11th graders and 9th graders, and I think that's part of the opiate crisis that we're dealing with. There is a problem. Is it a drastic problem? No, but it's a community problem and an issue we all need to work on. I too believe that alcohol use, drug use, any of these abuses have to start in the home with parental awareness and acceptance to take action and to be able to recognize the signs. It's not incumbent upon the school to do the total fix. Yes, we're a partner, and these things are alarming, but I believe that home is where things start. Parents need to really pay attention to their kids, watch for signs, etc. And along the way, the adults here in this campus who care deeply about the students need to feel comfortable and responsible in reporting behaviors to the right people here on campus who take care of things. This is not just, let's have a community resource officer that's going to take care of this. This is the entire community, parents and staff, embracing this issue and putting resources in and being diligent about it. We get one chance at doing this right with our kids, and everybody in the community is responsible. I think that another thing is that there needs to be more monitoring of our students during transition times and on breaks. This is an open campus where we don't have fences and walls and borders, so we can't keep activity, strangers, what have you, whether they have weapons, drugs, etc.
Excuse me, students.
Okay. You see the darn clock coming on. All right, I'll just close. Can I wrap it up?
Yes.
All righty. So I think that there has to be more adult supervision and monitoring during those times. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Tyler's turn.
Really just echoing what everyone has said, this is a community issue, obviously. I believe that this mostly falls on the parents. This is something that needs to be taken care of in the home. But the school can help support parents. I was just made aware that the school doesn't have a health class anymore. When I came here, there was a health class. You learned basic skills, sex ed, drug and alcohol use. And that kind of education at the school can be fed into the home if the parents don't know how to teach their students these sort of things. Now is a critical time to learn life skills. The fact that the school doesn't have a health teacher or a health class, per se, is kind of outrageous, and I think needs to be remedied. I think another important factor in this is the use of restorative justice. Kids make mistakes. They need a chance to learn from their mistakes. They need punishment, but they also need an opportunity to get out through their own learning and through their own struggle.
Thank you. And Eileen is next.
Thank you. Clearly, the use of drugs and alcohol on campus is a problem and has been an ongoing problem for years. I don't think it's any one person or any one group's responsibility to correct this. I certainly concur that there needs to be support at home, helping students to sort of get at the root of what's bothering them, which might lead them to use drugs or alcohol. really think that nothing works better than school personnel, parents, and everyone in the community working together to help our students to change this very disturbing trend. I also think that we need to provide a very safe environment for students and their classmates so if they have concerns about the use of drug or alcohol, who are they supposed to go to? If they know that their neighbor in their biology class has been drinking before school, what are they supposed to do? We need to make sure that we always have the door open with teachers, with counselors, anybody who may be a trusted adult in their life to help them to be able to help their classmates.
Thank you, Eileen, and now it's John's turn.
The problem is far greater than many of us believe. According to sheriff's deputies with whom I've personally spoken, they estimate that presently there are 35 students actively using hardcore drugs on this campus, and that would be methamphetamine, cocaine, etc. And there are 7 dealing. Students I've spoken with say that vaping is going on in the restrooms, and that marijuana usage in the locker room is not at all uncommon. In fact, a lot of the students refuse to go to the locker room because they know what they'll be exposed to. Indeed, parents are in a prime position to prevent their children from falling victim to this scourge. However, the facts are, schools are more and more being asked to assume the role of the surrogate parent. Students simply do not feel comfortable in reporting such drug activity to the school administration, in spite of all assurances that they will remain anonymous. However, equally amazing, students absolutely do feel comfortable in telling all to a uniformed officer. We need to take advantage of that. The district absolutely needs to return the school resource officer. Now, in speaking with deputies, something that I found out, which I found interesting, is the burden of suspicion that the school district has to look into a backpack is lower than what a sheriff's deputy has to have. However, if the sheriff's deputy is here as a school resource officer, he then assumes the lower burden of suspicion of searching a backpack, the same suspicion that only the school administration is required to have. I think it's absolutely vital that we find the funding to return the school resource officer. Thank you very much.
John, and now Kros.
Yeah, I would have to, echo what everybody's been saying. The use of drugs and alcohol in our community, in our schools, it is an issue. I personally feel the responsibility is to be, taken care of at home. At the same time, there's resources in our community that we can use, such. We do have the drug-free coalition, which is through people helping people, which parents can also reach out to them and ask for help on how to deal with a certain situation. I don't recall if they still have an office here or counselors here at the campus anymore, but they can always go to the office at PHB and ask for help. But like I said, everybody said here at the forum is the issues that we need to take care of at our home. The teachers are here to teach. They can help. Teach the kids the effects of using drugs and alcohol. But it all has to be taken care of. Thank you.
A quick tech check. Are we all doing okay on the microphones? Can you hear okay?
No.
Okay. Look, I'm eating the microphone. So please make sure you get close to the mic when you answer. All right, we'll try to do better this time. Campus safety concerns can range from mold in classrooms to bullying to active shooters. What policies, practices, and personnel do you think are most effective in keeping the high school's campus safe? And up first is John.
Thank you. I'm very concerned about the safety of our school. And on several occasions, I've spoken with school district officials. There are threats both external and internal that can be addressed. External threats would include such things as an active shooter. The Sheriff's Department has made recommendations on steps that the district could take to make our open campus safer. and I believe these should be adopted. I'm personally frustrated that I've repeatedly presented to the district a specific concern of mine, yet I've seen no results. I'm sure some of you folks here have or have had children that were freshmen in this school. Physical education has a part of its requirements, a run that they call the gasser. The gasser runs on this path, which is below Highway 246, all the way to Jim's filling station and back. It's about 1.5 miles. The problem with the gasser is you have students of all different levels of ability, so you end up with the stragglers at the very back. Now this path goes through wooded areas, it goes beside board fences, and I personally walked that path. There are many opportunities that if somebody wished to harm our children, they could, and they could get away with it. The fix is cheap, the fix is simple. Instead of simply having a coach that's stationed up on the campus and a teacher's aide, which is down at the other end by the filling station, we need to have a volunteer parent or another teacher's aide who's riding a golf cart and simply going up and down that path when our children are running. There are internal threats. Student be student, student be staff. How many of you have walked that parking lot on football night and see how dark it is? That's not a safe parking lot. It needs to have illumination. We've already talked about the drug usage here. And once again, I feel that there needs to be a resource officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And Eileen, it is your turn.
The school district has a comprehensive school safety plan, which is evaluated annually. Included in the plan are emergency procedures, and the most important element of the plan is training. I think if staff is not trained, then the plan can't be executed. In cooperation with law enforcement and mental health professionals, efforts should be made to assist students and staff in identifying potentially dangerous situations and behaviors, including those observed through social media. Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen. That brings us to Kros.
Security in the campus, it is an issue. One of the things that I would like to see is to actually have an officer in campus, but the officer to not just walk around and not talk to the students. I would like for the police person to actually connect with the students and speak with them, to kind of see what's going on in kids' minds while they're at school versus just walking around, being a sheriff around town, around the campus. I think that would be beneficial for our campus. Oh, sorry. I'll keep it closer.
Thank you. Kros. Now Jessica.
I think the campus safety is on the minds of students and parents alike. While I do not fear for my children's safety as I send them off to school, I'm aware that we live in a country that has a gun crisis. This is a present concern of parents and children, and I believe it is our duty to do our best to protect our children at school. And I would approve measures to make our schools safer. I think this is a layered issue that requires a look at look upstream and to look at best practices in the event of an active shooting. In the event of an active shooter, we must do more to educate our students, our staff, and our parents. We need to hire professionals who have the knowledge of what best practices are and spend the money to make our campus safe. I believe our school needs to look into all of its current policies and procedures. We need to decide if they are still relevant and decide how we will address violations. And then most importantly, we must be equitable in our administration of discipline. Our children must believe that they are cared for and deserving of equality. This, I believe, is one piece of preventing violence.
Next is Carl.
After visiting with our superintendent, I feel our current safety policies are appropriate and adequate. Our campus is as safe as an open campus can be. We have 3 security staff members who monitor the campus during the day and are in constant radio contact with each other and the administrative staff. While I respect our law enforcement community, I sincerely believe that more guns on campus are not going to make it a safer campus. There are areas where we can improve, however. I feel that improved parking lot lighting is on the it is on the list of improvements for Measure K, But right now, the lighting is inadequate and needs to be improved. Also, the corner of 246 and Refugio is a very dangerous corner. I go through it almost every day, and I'm constantly looking over my shoulder for those cars that want to make a right while I'm in the crosswalk. That being said, I think the most cost-effective and best way to spend our resources to improve student safety and well-being is to hire a full-time mental health professional. This is somebody who students, staff, faculty can approach with concerns. This is somebody who can mediate disputes. This is somebody who can help the children through this very difficult transitionary period of their life. That, I think, would be the single best step we could take towards improving campus safety.
Thank you, Carl. Next up is Tyler.
I think one of the beauties of this town and this area is that it's absurdly safe. I think that it's not all doom and gloom, and we don't need to be worried about boogeymen and women jumping out of bushes and attacking our children. It just really doesn't happen. That doesn't mean we don't prepare for these sort of events and these sort of inevitabilities. Prior to becoming an attorney, I worked as a firefighter, learned the ins and outs and comprehensive safety plans. I think the most important thing we can do is to just incorporate the input of the community, sheriffs, CHP, local fire, other members of the area, teachers, staff, and see what they think we need to do. The teachers here that I've spoken to generally feel safe. The campus generally feels safe. I think we can use the Measure K money that's been coming through to revamp some of the elements of the campus to create a safer place, but the reality is that we just need to keep revamping, relooking, and revising our current security plan to make sure it's up to date.
Thank you, Tyler. And now Jan.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I believe that our campus is relatively safe as an open campus. I believe, again, and agree that the valley is safe, and some of these issues that are going on nationwide probably, but highly unlikely, would happen here. However, let's remember that we have a campus full of caring adults who engage with our students daily, and that's the best prevention we can have. We have a great student support system that monitors student behavior and climate and responds to student needs. They're proactive and visible. We have a great parent notification system, so when we know something's going to come down or we can anticipate it, phone calls go out to cell phones. When something has happened, it's not a media frenzy. Again, the parent notification system is kicked into place, and that is part of our school safety plan. I think that we need to do a better job of enforcing anti-bullying culture on this campus and teach our kids a little bit more about respect and resiliency, which will settle a lot of issues that come up between students. But I too agree that we need desperately a mental health counselor who can help identify at-risk students, develop support measures, and work with families and staff who are really not the staff, but we can work with families who are really struggling and can work with the staff in a jointed plan. This is really critical, and a lot of people poo-poo mental health counselors, but it's something that we really need on this campus. Thank you.
Thank you all. Moving on to the next question. What are the district's biggest strengths and weaknesses? What would you do to support the strengths and improve on the weaknesses? And the first out of the box for this one is Carl.
Well, I think without question, the district's biggest strengths are its people. We have incredibly talented and dedicated faculty, staff, students, parents, and members of the community. Our challenge as a district is to give those people the tools they need to truly excel. The biggest weakness, in my opinion, remains our infrastructure. Measure K is going a long way towards fixing some long simmering problems, but more needs to be done to make this campus the center for learning, not just for the Santa Ynez Valley, but the Central County as well.
Thank you, Carl. Jessica, you're up.
I believe our greatest strength is also our people. I can attest to teachers being in their classrooms at lunchtime, before school, to counselors who answer emails promptly from frantic parents and students, to front desk creating an environment of building, in my opinion, not creating an environment of building people up or bringing people together and building compassion, tolerance, and understanding.
We may have a battery issue.
I believe we must challenge our students to learn about each other, about things outside themselves. We must hold our school employees to a new level of kindness that is expected and lived through action. Nothing less can any longer be tolerated. I don't see it. I'm killing it. Okay. Just be kind with me. I don't see it.
Having technical troubles. Mine works some of the time.
I'll just yell loud. Yeah, I just see it almost as this reflection of what's happening in our society, and I believe that it's time to work on creating more love, compassion, and understanding.
And Eileen, you're next. If a microphone works, it'll be even better.
I'll yell as Jessica did.
In the theater, they call it projecting.
I believe that student achievement and the partnership with Hancock College is one of our greatest strengths. Certainly the faculty and staff and the clear support for students is there. I think we can never do enough. Can I just take a 3-second break here?
Yes.
I think we can never do enough to increase and streamline communication. I can speak to the fact that it has certainly improved in the last 10 to 15 years. I think that students would benefit from learning effective communication to resolve differences among them, to support each other. I think they, as I said before, I think they need to know they need a trusted adult. I strongly support mental health services on campus. I think it would be a way to perhaps prevent a very serious event on the campus. Thank you.
Before we go on, John and Jessica Tyler, could you maybe take the mics out of the stands and then they'll be easier to pass back and forth? I'm not sure what.
Name's coming now.
That was good. Okay, mine's good. Mine's good most of the time. Okay, so I'll just say quickly, Tyler, you're up.
The weakness is the microphones in this theater.
That's right.
The strength here is obviously the teachers and staff. The test scores are outstanding, they're the best in the Tri-County. The faculty continues to improve on these already high test scores every year. The agriculture, automotive, and other career training courses are widely recognized. The sports and extracurriculars here are second hand. The faculty and staff make this district truly special. We can support them by ensuring they have the tools they need to and require in their classrooms and that they are properly compensated so they can focus on their time. This does make a good point though, right? Like the arts here are neglected. The theater is obviously in need of repair. The arts teachers seem to be unfillable. We need to continue to make sure that we give our students a rounded education, and that doesn't seem to be happening right now. We have the lowest sub rate in the area, which makes it hard to find substitute teachers and puts more stress on the teachers who are here. We have a difficulty with teacher retention because of the benefits package and the compensation. I understand that it's challenging to create more of these opportunities, but we can partner with Allen Hancock and other local schools to fill in where we can't place people here.
Jan is next.
I'll give it a try. Oh my goodness, okay. So I believe that the strengths of this district, number one, are outstanding faculty and staff. Bar none. I've been around for a long time. This is the place to be and to work. I think that we're fiscally sound with a healthy reserve. We have strong academics and growing career tech ed programs. Our athletics are phenomenal, and our on-campus clubs to engage students. There's a variety for almost every kid on this campus. I believe that parent participation through our PTSA, our booster clubs, and our parent senate are thriving. Obviously, we're always wanting more parent participation. I believe that Allen Hancock on our campus is one of the best things that we've ever done to provide opportunities for all of our students and get them on a pathway to beyond high school. I think that what we need to do is continue to provide tools for our teachers and for our support staff the tools that they need to keep this campus rolling in that positive way that we want to. We need to continue working with our admin for transparency and reporting and for engaging our parents and staff. What I don't like to call weaknesses, but areas to work on, again, student safety. We've got to get that mental health counselor onto this campus and to continue working with the CHP and the sheriffs, in particular on a traffic situation out in front of the school. I also want to see an area of student-to-student relationships and a healthy culture, as I mentioned before, bringing more activities and opportunities to foster healthy relationships on this campus school-wide. We do have restorative justice, and we do have some anti-bullying training, and we need to burst that bubble and get it moving along. We're limited on electives and fine art offerings, and we need to increase that access, possibly online and through Hancock. And also, we've got to support our alternative ed kids by beefing up Refugio High School. Thank you.
I hope to say that this is help on the way, as opposed to my recycling can being brought from home or something. All right, we'll push on. Kros, it's your turn.
So to second, what a lot of the candidates have, mentioned, one of the strengths in our community is our teachers. Remember my high school teachers. My brother's a teacher at I've seen what he does, and you can, even say thank you to the teachers. They go above and beyond with what they do. I had an opportunity to go to science camp and just watch some of the teachers, what they do and how they engage the children. And it opened my eyes to see how they love our kids in our community. That goes from, I know some of the local teachers here at the high school, and I see the same kind of love they give the students here locally. And I think we need to support our teachers to help them with the needs they need to provide the type of teaching they would like to do to our students, whether it's with technology or better classrooms for our teachers. As far as weaknesses, I think, obviously, more, I know Jen said, we have a lot of parent participation, but you can never get enough. I think you need to have more parent participation. Also, I think getting volunteers, the kids are not currently going to the high schools. It's important to get them involved in an earlier stage than when the kids are in high school, so they can kind of see what the process is in the high school.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Dave, we'll do a check here. Can everybody hear that okay? Test, 1, 2, 3, test. Check, test, test. Are we good all the way in the back?
Yep, that's good.
Okay.
This one seems to be going okay. Maybe you want to leave that up there.
Okay.
And coincidentally, John, it is your turn.
Testing. There are many strengths of this wonderful school. I'd like to talk about some research I did on what makes an excellent school. I've looked at high schools across the country that have stood out academically in terms of their scores on ACT, SAT, graduation rates, acceptance into colleges, and believe it or not, it's not a factor how much money is spent on the education, but the one parallel is parental involvement, and that's something that this district does have. I've been fortunate to be a member of the Ambassador Program, which was organized last year by Superintendent Tory and Principal Swanitz, and it demonstrated that if parents are given the opportunity to become involved in the school to a degree more than just showing up Friday night at the football game, they will take that opportunity. And when you look at the great schools have parents that are encouraged to come in to the classroom and to present their real life experiences, to talk about some aspect of history that particularly excites them, or for somebody to come into the biology class and share with them their knowledge of a particular subject. Teachers typically embrace that because for no other reason it gives them a break. But when the parents have an active participation, an active role in the student's education, they will take advantage of that. this school is to be commended, because throughout the 1990s and the 2000s, when public education was getting rid of VOTAC, getting rid of CTE schools, this high school has embraced it. I ask rhetorically, how many can tell me of another high school in the country that not only has a co-ed auto shop team, but a co-ed auto racing team? That's incredible. And it's a complete tribute to the philosophy of this school. We have classes for agriculture, for robotics, for media. I think this is an incredible opportunity, because we need to understand that the children are looking for something out of the ordinary, for something that makes them shine, for something that's unique. Now, I realize my time is up, but to talk about what the weakness is, as wonderful as the teachers are here, what saddens me is, and I've been going to a lot of these board meetings, is that the last several board meetings, the teachers have stood up and complained about the way the negotiations for their recent contracts were handled. And they're very upset about that. They're demoralized about it, and a demoralized teacher is not going to be effective in the classroom. Thank you.
All right, and speaking of such things, the next question is, the district recently went through mediation with the Faculty Association. They have a tentative agreement on a contract now. As a school board member, how would you approach the issue of balancing the district's needs overall with the interests of the faculty and staff? And the first person on the stack this time around is Jessica.
I would like to begin by saying I'm thrilled that there has been an agreement reached by right now with our board and our faculty. I think contracts are complicated, and there's obviously not an endless supply of money in any district. However, I think we're blessed to be in a district that has what I believe is a healthy budget. But it's a budget, and it always will have more needs than cash. It is my firm belief that our school's greatest asset is our people, our teachers, our coaches, and our front desk staff. Those individuals who make the school this wonderful place it is. They are the ones tasked with our children's learning, safety, and growth, and I would stand with our teachers and would help work to find a way to meet their requests.
Thank you, Jessica. And next is Jan.
Thank you. First, we've heard several times about our fantastic, dedicated, and passionate faculty and staff who deserve the best and should be fairly compensated. Yes, I'm thrilled that the mediation process and the contracts are signed for 3 years, and we're guaranteed to take care of our staff. What I think has to happen is that everybody needs to realize that yes, the faculty and staff and the admin are delivering the needs that are driven from or comprised from the strategic plan goals that we have for instruction, academics, and optimizing resources. But we have to look at, as board members, what our responsibility is, which is first and foremost fiscal responsibility of the district. So what can the budget provide ongoing through a contract, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or a long time down the road? We are required to have 3-year projections. And so we always ask ourselves as board members, can those projections, or can those salary and health and welfare benefit increases be sustained through these projections? And at the same time, can that budget support operational costs? We also are under the gun for extremely high mandated costs for STRS and PERS and anything else that is going to be coming down the pike. So while we of course have the interests of the faculty and staff at heart, and they're our #1 priority, we also need to be able to maintain a solvent district. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Tyler.
As an attorney, I regularly participate in mediations and arbitrations. While these can be difficult and trying, it is important that both sides have their needs and concerns heard and met. Having observed this mediation, I feel that the board and district could have done better. While the district cannot meet every request from the teachers union, in this instance the district chose to almost ignore the concerns of the teachers. And I think another thing that got lost in this was the purpose of this entire meeting. The district was at odds with the teachers, and everyone forgot about what they were here to do, which was to teach and provide education for the students. I attended 2 school board meetings where many staff members expressed their concerns and outrage at the district's proposed offer. The teachers were asking for an on-schedule cost of living increase, which is much needed and much deserved. Although the sides could not reach an agreement, there was no reason to make this into a prolonged and dragged out process. I think one of the biggest problems with this process was the sheer optics. The district is sitting on a 60% reserve and chose to approve raises for the superintendent and the principal. While they may or may not have deserved those raises, that's not an issue. It looks bad. There were other issues at play, but it doesn't look good for the district to be sitting on that kind of money and not to give raises to the people who are providing the work in the classroom. I think that it's important that we continue to pay our teachers well. We pay on the low end of the spectrum, not just compared to other schools, but compared to the quality of education and the cost of living in this area.
Thank you, Tyler. And next is Kros.
As we, we have praised our teachers of how great they are in our community here. At the same time, that we have come to an agreement with the board has come to an agreement with their contracts. What I would like to still see is create open communication with them, for the future on the coming up contracts too. Even though there's been an agreement, we continue to ask even more and more and more from our teachers, and I feel that we need to figure out a way to, compensate them and maintain it within the budget. But one of the biggest things that I would be an advocate for is creating that communication flow with our teachers.
Thank you, Kros. Next up is John.
What our children yearn for are teacher, coach, mentors. And it's absolutely correct that a teacher who feels unappreciated and underpaid will be ineffective in the classroom. Many teachers do not feel happy following the recent rounds of negotiations and subsequent mediation. Teachers are responsible for the largest percentage of our school budget. I believe it's around 74%. So I would propose the following. A, invite a representative of the teachers to be present as a non-voting member at the table during matters of annual budget planning. Teachers have much to contribute to that process and should be brought in well before the 11th hour. And B, during those years, such as this year, when an unexpected tax surplus windfall lands on the district, we should consider sharing just a part of that as a stipend with the staff.
Thank you, John. Next is Carl.
As a potential incoming board member, I would like to personally thank the administration and the teachers for coming to an agreement before any of us come into office. That makes the job much easier to begin with. And I'd also like to agree with Mr. Andrade that the key to balancing the district's needs with the staff's needs is open communication. I believe that it is vital for both sides to listen carefully to what the other has to say, not just hearing, but truly listening. With mutual understanding of the issues at stake, any negotiation will go better. That being said, the greatest achievement our district could make towards bringing the district and staff together actually happened last week with the appointment of Tory Babcock to fill the vacancy that was on the board. I know Mrs. Babcock as a talented and passionate educator, and I'm sure she'll bring the same wisdom and experience to the school board. When she talks about staff, I think we would all do well to listen to her.
Thank you, Carl. And that brings us to Eileen.
As a former school board member in the Buellton Union School District, I have participated in contract negotiations, and I can speak to the fact that they can be very difficult. What I learned during my years on the board is that this issue, as well as all issues that board members are faced with, is that you need to look at both sides of the issue, and you need to be fully informed. The district needs to remain solvent while recognizing the need for quality educators to teach our children. Teachers face enormous challenges throughout the workday, teaching children with many different educational and emotional requirements. Communicating with the faculty and addressing the challenges they face may ensure a speedy negotiation process in the future. Thank you.
School districts have to decide how many resources will be spent on teaching the traditional academic subjects as well as career technical education, in addition to classes in music, theater, and other arts. So in the 21st century, what proportion of time and money should be spent on CTE, the career technical education, versus traditional academics and the arts? And the first person is Carl.
I think this is an important question that we as a society need to address. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics say that nationally 1/3 of all high school graduates will not go to college and will enter the workforce directly. Also, the cost of college now is proportionally greater than it has been for any previous generation, over $100,000 for an in-state four-year education, and well over $250,000 for private colleges and universities. We as a society really need to ask whether college is right for everyone. For those students who do not choose to go to college, I think high school CTE courses offer a great way to start building the skills they need for successful careers, and these courses could be offered community-wide. It was enlightening for me to find out, by the way, that CTE courses include a range of professions from agriculture, construction, the arts, business, health sciences, to information technology and STEM fields. So I think it's something that the whole community can benefit from. Thanks.
Thank you, and that brings us to Eileen.
Thank you. At the heart of this question is that students must meet graduation requirements to receive a diploma. I strongly believe that rigorous academic programs as well as CTE courses are essential. I think that everybody knows, and maybe even in the last 10 years has realized that students learn differently and that they're not always going to be on the four-year track, or what was always called the four-year track. I think providing these academic programs and career and technical options will give students skills to pursue and succeed in his or her choice of post-secondary endeavors. Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen, and that brings us to Jessica.
While I don't have the answer for the exact proportions of time and money that should be spent on CTE versus traditional academics and arts, I definitely see the value in a variety of programs. We live in an ever-changing world, and today our young adults are coming out of colleges and universities with mounds of debt, and often there isn't a well-paying job awaiting them. Technology is replacing many traditional jobs, so we must adjust our curriculum to prepare our students for this future. I believe what's most important is to find the best place for each individual student, the place where passion meets talent, and then place them in the proper programs. High school should spark a light of curiosity in our children that leads to career ideas and paths.
Thank you. That brings us to Kros.
For the CTE courses and traditional academics, I also don't have an actual percentage of how much they should go to each section, but what I like about this question was that I started looking back on my years here at the high school when I was here, I'm going to date myself, back in the 80s. Looked at my classmates, when we had a lot of the courses that, we had home ec, we had wood shop, a lot of the art classes, and I started looking back on what they're doing now. A lot of them they own their own construction companies. Some of them went into acting, some of them went to the arts, allowed them to express themselves, and some of them went to four-year schools like myself, and then we found our calling. I think having the CTE courses are, tremendously important to have, just because what we said up here within the forum is, children learn differently, and we need different options for our children to learn what they can do in the future.
Thank you, and that brings us to John.
I believe the question actually highlights one of the problems. What proportion of time and money should be spent, ... My philosophy of public education in many ways is Jeffersonian. Children are not created equal. A successful school must be able to identify the goals and dreams of each student then, as best possible, provide the classes, tools, and mentor teachers to help achieve those dreams. This means the curriculum has to be flexible to change and meet the changing desires of the community and the children. The only way to identify those dreams and goals is through a longitudinal system of data collection, something that the California Department of Education simply does not do. So how revealing it might be to survey the alumni from our school for the past 10, 15 years and simply ask them if their experience at San Ynez Valley High School equipped them with the necessary trade schools or college prep skills they need. This may mean diverting a larger percentage of dollars to CTE and VOTEC classes than academics. While in 10 years the pendulum might change and we would be spending a greater proportion of the money on academics. But to start off with some formula that we're going to spend this much money on academics and this much money on CTE classes ignores the fact that the desires of the community and the children may be at odds with that. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That brings us to Tyler.
I think that the high school should be a place where students come out and become well-rounded individuals. This means that you get a little bit of everything. You get to pursue your passions and decide what's important to you. The academics here are already outstanding. The career training education is already outstanding, but it needs to be distributed evenly amongst all of these things. I feel like the arts are being lost in all of this. I feel like the theater program and the other art department here is shortchanged because people view it as unimportant. But that makes well-rounded humans, well-rounded adults. I think another challenge the school faces is that you can't create classes for every passion here, but we can reach out and bridge gaps with Allen Hancock and City College and other local institutions to fill those holes that we can't provide for only a few students.
Thank you, Tyler. That brings us to Jan.
Thank you. Well, I'm a parent of two young men that have been very successful, and I have to say that's because of the background that they got and the courses they received here at San Ynez High that were CTE courses. They're both successful businessmen, and if it were not for the CTE courses, I think they would have lost interest in high school other than baseball. So, you know, we go back, everybody has said this, children learn differently, children have different needs. We have the college track, and then we have hopefully the career pathways through CTE that we can offer. We've got restaurant, we've got East, sports medicine, teacher ed, auto, multimedia, and those are only a part of the electives that we offer to our students. Some kids come to school solely for their CTE courses. The environment is changing. We have to offer, I believe, equitably, not only the academic courses, but also the CTE courses. And I believe the district has made a commitment over the past few years when we've lost our ROP funding to maintain those courses for our students because they know the value of it and they realize how important it is for our kids. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And moving on to the next question. The district is making major upgrades to campus with money from a bond measure that voters approved in 2016, which has been referred to already tonight. But that money won't cover every improvement that was envisioned because of rising costs. So as the district develops a 10-year master plan for facilities, what should the priorities of that plan be? And first on top of the stack is John.
It's unfortunate that there have been such dramatic cost overruns. I'm frankly surprised that these overruns could not have been better predicted by the professionals who develop these building programs for a living. As an outsider who simply attends board meetings, it's difficult to comprehend how, for example, a simple renovation of 2 restrooms could cost nearly $250,000, or a full gut job of the same restrooms, $385,000. Unfortunately, these overruns are going to require us to reprioritize which projects are completed as originally envisioned. Some luxuries, like the aforementioned restrooms and extension of the courtyard, I believe, must be put on hold. The project is important and needs to be completely rethought, if not redesigned. This year, the school district has been the benefactor of surplus tax dollars due to impound monies and payments of delinquent property taxes. This does not happen every year. But some of these monies should be placed in a fund for future major improvements. Something that I don't hear much mention of is the fact that many of the buildings on this campus are modular classrooms. I'm quite certain that those buildings are nearing, if not already past, their predicted lifespan. I'm not certain that monies have been put on reserve when that eventuality happens. The patience of the voters in this community, I think, is not going to tolerate for a long time another bond measure. And therefore, we need to be able to Therefore, it's incumbent that we use as responsibly as possible the monies from Measure K. If we have to give up some of the luxuries, then so be it.
Thank you, Joe. Next is Carl.
I think the priorities for a 10-year master plan should continue to focus on improving the infrastructure and expanding our arts education programs. I too would like to see all the portable classrooms and outdated classrooms replaced by new construction. In terms of art education, I would like to see some art appreciation classes or music appreciation classes offered to all students, as well as expanding existing music and visual arts programs. We're very fortunate to have a healthy and vibrant drama program here, thanks to Mr. McKinnon, and I'd like to see if we can add programs for the many, many dance students who currently take private lessons from our local dance studios. It would be great to have some school-related activities for which they can lend their skills.
Thank you, Carl. Next is Jessica.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing that we got this bond money, and I think that already what I hear is what's happening is that we're going to start to address the infrastructure, and I believe the priority should be to fix any and all safety issues or hazards, and then to work on implementing things that will create a safer school in the event of a natural disaster or a school shooting. I think the current plan is working on most areas of my concern, and for me a major concern is that parking lot, and I know that that's on the plan. So.
Thank you. And next is Jan.
Thank you. First of all, one of the priorities would to be finish all of the Measure K projects. We are going to be short of funding, but we are also in the pipeline currently for about $6.5 million in Prop 51 funding, and so we'll keep our fingers crossed that that will come in sooner than later. I'd also think that in our master plan, we've got to consider student and staff safety of all of our facilities, including our classrooms, fields, gyms, parking lots, entry and exit points. This campus is used by over 30 different groups annually, and it must be a safe place for everybody to function in our community. I think that financial support for future instructional and extracurricular programs is something that Carl mentioned about the fine arts needs to be included in the master plan. Maintenance of our quality staffing, both our faculty and our support staff. The development of community partnerships, we need to expand Hancock more than ever, and other community groups need to come on board. And then also I think the development of a facilities endowment plan, when we're talking about where's the money going to come from. One-time taxes are only really a drop in the bucket. We need to think long and hard about a facilities endowment plan. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to Tyler.
Since the community funded Measure K, I think the community should have a say in what is used on those dollars. The community includes everyone. This campus, as Jan pointed out, is used by many, many people. It's a meeting point in this area that doesn't really have a central location. I think that's an important element. We need to improve the structures that benefit all of the community the most, like the theater does, the fields, things like that. I think it's an excellent opportunity to implement more technology in each of the classrooms while we're renovating them. Now's the time to upgrade into the 21st century and give give the teachers tools which can make them better and make the students better equipped for their future. Now's a chance to improve the vocational programs at school, implementing new facilities for those. I think something that's also been left out here is Wufufio High School, which is an important part of this district, but it seems to have been kicked off of campus in favor of Hancock. I think everything can exist here if we make room for it. The portable classrooms, which have been portable since I was here, much longer, it's time for them to go. It's time to just generally improve the campus.
Thank you. And next is Eileen.
The school district has begun the Measure K project, and recognizes that rising costs will affect the completion of the project. Certainly there will need to be a priority list. Facilities that support programs and safety should be at the top of the list. I can speak to this because in 1971 I was a senior in high school, and my high school was severely damaged by the Silmar earthquake. Fortunately, it happened at 6 a.m. and not 10 a.m. because the outcome could have been quite different. Roughly 20 years later, the school was so damaged that it is no longer there. It is not on that land. I believe that the district should develop a maintenance schedule that ensures campus facilities are maintained and in good repair for future generations. This ongoing maintenance of school facilities will minimize unexpected expenses, which could be costly to the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. And now, Kros.
For the 10-year master plan, what I like to see ourselves focus on is in the classrooms, make sure that the classrooms are up to date with 21st century technology for our students and for our staff. Second, I would like to see our facilities be improved. You know, we know a lot of our children they're excited about their after-school activities, from theater to sports. The locker rooms need to be upgraded. So the field on the left over here used to be worked quite a bit, because of the gophers you get out there. There's a lot of lumps and bumps in there. But also is, one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier is the crosswalk across the street where our kids go to a rancho. I'm surprised that, somebody has not been hit, recently. Every time, that I drive through there, I'm looking left and right because some of this kids just pop out of anywhere, so that's one of the things I would like to also see work on.
Thank you. And our next question, why do you think this year's election has drawn such a big field of candidates for the school board? First person is Jessica.
Well, I hope tonight we've learned a little bit more about why people are running. While I can't tell you why, what created this phenomenon, I can say that I'm truly excited by the enthusiasm and the call to action by my fellow candidates. I'm inspired by the turnout, and I trust that we'll be in good hands after the votes are tallied.
Thank you. And Eileen.
I believe that it's a commentary on the quality of people in this community. This panel of candidates before you could come from all walks of life and experiences. In these unusual times, I believe the candidates want to do their part to contribute to the community and the welfare of our children. Thank you.
Next is Kros.
As we talked about tonight, we talk about community. As we talk about our community keeps growing and changes. And one of the beautiful parts of this valley is our community likes to get involved, where there's, our nonprofits, local schools, environment. And I think, it's just a change of, of the valley. People are interested in what's going on at the high schools. And I think it's a healthy thing to have a lot of candidates interested in joining the board.
Thank you, Kros. And Carl is next.
Yeah, I'll agree that I think it's a fantastic sign that so many people are willing to give of their time to help improve and sustain education. I think nothing is more important to the health of a community than the health of its schools. And maybe it is just a sign of the times that people are feeling the call to become more involved in
would not pretend to know the motivations of others. I can only speak for myself. Our high school has most of the ingredients necessary to make for a great school. It has a great heritage, beautiful campus, fine staff, vibrant school spirit, and certainly a diverse curriculum. I just believe that the time is right for some new ideas and visions to be brought to the board so that we can make our fine school even better.
Thank you, John. And now Tyler.
I think so many people are running this here just because we're at this precipice of a major change in this community and this school. We've got money coming in from Measure K, money coming in from Prop 51. The school board opened up this time, and I think there's just a great opportunity for setting the tone of what the next 10 years at least will look like for the school board. So it seems to be what people are running.
And next is Jan.
There's nothing that I love better than Sandy Ynez and being a pirate. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have such a fine institution with outstanding people day in and day out on this campus, and the wonderful students, bar none. This, I think, with having 11 candidates run for 3 positions, there's a spirit in this community that people care, and that they want to spend the time to make things better and to carry on great tradition. Again, I believe that all of us here feel that there's a need to be part of this community and to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to announce that it's time for closing statements, and we'll have about a half an hour left. We were so panicked that we wouldn't be able to get through 2 hours with asking questions to 11 people, and these guys have done such a good job of answering that we've got extra time. Now, I've also promised them that they won't be ambushed by questions from the audience and public, but I also know that when we're done with this part, they're all happy to stick around and you can ask your questions.
You can ask your questions to them directly.
Are we back? Ah, we're back. Why don't we do our opening statements just from end to end? Our closing statements, yeah, not two. John, why don't you start and we'll just go down the road.
Thank you. Sidelines of society are filled with people, young and old, who have big dreams. But because they're too timid, they are too timid to run onto the playing field. Their big dreams shall always remain just that, dreams. I too have big dreams and goals for our school, and I'm no longer willing to simply stand on the sidelines. I want to become an active participant in making the school great. The tribal leaders of the Hopi Indians had a philosophy. Before they would adopt any new practice with their tribe, it had to simply pass a simple question. Is this good for our children? And I pledge to you tonight that if I have the honor of serving on this school board, there will be no decision, there will be no raise of my hand for a vote in the affirmative if it does not pass that test. Is this good for our children? Thank you.
Thank you for your interest in this school, this community, and for giving me a chance to speak. I'm excited for this opportunity, and I know that given the chance, I can be an excellent board member. My experience in the legal profession makes me uniquely qualified to fill this seat, to make tough, impartial decisions, and help guide this school forward for the long term. I hope that I can get my opportunity to continue the legacy of this existing board and this institution.
In closing, I hope that you were able to learn a little bit about who I am and what's important to me. I would love to talk to you without a microphone and a stage. I would love to hear what's important to you, to work to make our high school the best it can be. I definitely don't have all the answers or all the knowledge, but I work well with others. I believe in the process, and I will work to foster a kinder and more loving campus. Whether I win or lose this election, I will be a champion for our children, our community, and our school. If you see me in the world, say hello.
appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you guys and answer some of the questions. You know, I was asked a question by my parents, who were a big part of who I become with my business as a parent. You know, I told them, you know, you've done a great job raising me. I said, you know, but this community was also a big part of who I've become. Not only the community, but this high school. You know, this high school was able to give me the ability to open my eyes to a future that I never thought I was going to be able to do what I've been doing with my life. And I just thought, you know, that it was, you know, be the right time for me to give back to this community, just like it gave back to me, and pay it forward.
Thank you. First of all, Reza and Dave, thank you very much for the opportunity to have this forum, host this forum, and to the fellow candidates, fantastic job. I would be happy to serve beside you, and if I'm not re-elected, I'm happy to support you. I want to continue to do the work that I started 4 years ago when I was elected. I really believe that we're in a great place, and I don't like unfinished projects. So I want to be a part of that, and I think that I bring to the table 35 years of a background in education, and I really understand what's going on. So I look forward, hopefully, to 4 more years. Thank you.
Well, primarily, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight and exhibiting what's best about our democracy. The ability to have an open exchange of ideas is really fantastic. I'd also like to thank my friends and neighbors who are also running for the board. I am inspired by your dedication and thoughtfulness. To the community, I offer myself as a parent and somebody passionate about arts education. But honestly, any of the people you see before you will work for our community, and specifically for our students. So to my fellow candidates, I am optimistic about the future of this school and honored to be in your presence. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for attending this forum. I know that everybody has a busy schedule, a busy life. To come out on a Wednesday night, I think that we can all will say that we truly appreciate it. I'm a lifelong supporter of public education. I'm proud to say that my son graduated as a Honda student, K-8 school district at the time, and then followed here to the high school for 4 years. There's been many a time when I felt he had a fantastic education at this school, but I would give anything for him to be here now, because I am so terribly impressed by the progress that the school has made. As a former school board member, I offer you experience, I offer you leadership, and I offer you oversight. For these reasons, I believe that I am prepared and I am qualified to serve on the board. I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
So that will wrap up the formal portion. One thing I wanted to say, because a lot of us took a shortcut from the parking lot into this door, is that the PTSA did a really nice job with the reception in the lobby. So if you didn't notice it before, now's your chance. Yeah, and there's cookies. But beyond that, seriously, thank you all for coming. Candidates, thank you all. And we have time to mingle and question your candidates. Thank you again.